Hello, everyone. My apologies for signing in late, but we'll get to it. Yes? Today we're doing backbends. We're doing backbends, and there were a few announcements, but of course I forgot to see what those were before I signed on. Come on in, everybody. Come on in, and let me grab quickly. Put that there. Here we go. There we go. Need a little more light. Need more light here. Hang tight. Hang tight. I should have actually... There it is. Never mind. I don't need to leave. It's right here. It's right here. Okay. Okie dokie. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining, everyone. And again, my apologies for being tardy. Not good. Not good, Alicia. Wanted to quickly go over again. Today we're working on backbend basics. So we're not going to get into anything crazy per se, but oh boy. How come I hope it remembers my password. Let's see here. But as I'm trying or figuring this out, we're going over basics, meaning key positions I think worth getting the nitty-gritty into so we could better understand the anatomy of a backbend and maybe cover some misconceptions in backbend training because I understand how it can be overwhelming with all the information that's out there, and if you want, you can take the opportunity because you are here with me live. If you wanted to drop any questions specifically about what we're covering. Of course, this doesn't want to work. I wonder why. Let's try this again. Let's see here. But if I can't find the announcements or I'm not able to, whatchamacallit, announce them. Oh, of course. Okay. My gosh. Forget it, Slack. You're supposed to be on my iPad, but now you're not anymore. Okay. So backbend basics. Let's go over what the basic anatomy is for a backbend. Although it is called a backbend, what you probably will notice is there's more involved than just your back. In fact, people might overuse specifically the lower part of their spine to perform deep backbends because that's where your vertebrae is the largest and also has the most space between the bones. Why your spine is more capable of creating a far more deeper degree of extension, excuse me, than the other parts of your back naturally. You can increase the extension range of motion in your thoracic and cervical parts of your spine, but already you kind of like have like a bonus given to you in terms of your anatomy in the spine. But what people don't realize is that the brunt of work, in my opinion, comes from your hips. And we could actually try this together. I'm going to place you down lower so we can see past the comments. I actually should put on my glasses because I can't see. Okay. So if we were to do a standard cobra, right, where we lie down, hands in front, and we lift. So a couple of things here. If your shoulders are rising to your ears, indication that we might have to go lower, wider hands, so we could pull the chest forward and again, access a little more extension in the low spine, as well as in thoracic here, okay? You might feel your butt squeeze. Now that is a natural reaction, and yes, you need to engage your glutes, but it's not just about squeezing the glutes because look what that does to my hip. It lifts it off the ground. You want to engage and drive. So you want to actively extend the hip while you're lifting chest off the floor. You don't just want to clench your butt because if you just clench your glutes, it's going to feel tight and restricted in your lower spine. That's why you might have heard the suggestion to relax your glutes. Now, technically, sure, if you have problems clenching your behind and you find that you can get as high in your cobra as you would like, yes, relaxing your glutes will allow you more extension. But the reason that's happening is because you have not learned how to incorporate your hip extension. If you do not know how to incorporate your hip extension, then you're going to hit a roadblock in trying to advance your back bend. What does that mean? If you attempt any type of standing back bend shape and your glutes are relaxed, it's not going to end well for you. So that's why it's important to practice that glute squeeze and drive on the floor. So when standing, you've already mastered what's needed to engage the glutes, but feel what it is to hold this position, not just with your low spine, but with your hips as well. And why, if you ever take a contortion class, why contortionists start with splits first. Why? What do splits stretch? They stretch, yes, your hamstrings, but they also stretch your hips. In what leg specifically? The back leg. So that's why it's important to zero in on that hip extension so that you could utilize that connection to increasing your degree of back extension for deeper positions. You could already feel the difference, I'm sure, if you always used to just squeeze your butt in Cobra, but now you try to squeeze and drive. If you try to drive your hips into the ground, not only would you feel an increase in extension, but you feel a more stable position. You feel like it's not just your back during the work, but your hips are also there to support that effort. And that's why it feels better in the more advanced standing positions as well. So why important with mastering the lunge? And this is something that people run into also, right? Where I'm told several times when people practice lunge, the classic position with elongated back leg, right, and a low hip, that they feel their low back and they don't feel their hip. It's because if you kind of just drop into it, instead of being more strict with the position, pull the belly button in, stack the torso over your pelvis, and thinking about opening that hip crease, engaging the psoas in a way that recruits in the same manner that you need in a back bend, that's when you start to say, oh, okay. And also great for front split training, because essentially a front split is an extended low lunge with the hips on the ground. That's the full expression of the position, right? Okay. Now, if you're still having trouble feeling your psoas in a low lunge, you're like, Alicia, I get what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I still can't connect. That's where I would suggest you shorten your stance and come into the 90-90 position. This will allow you a better connection to your hip, because now, since your spine can be held more neutral, you can focus on bringing that hip, posteriorly tilting it, and better connecting to your psoas. And you can even move into the low lunge classic position from here by maintaining. Keep extending until your low back wants to get in on the fun. You're like, no. This is not for you. You did not receive your invitation yet. Stay back. Keep it in the hip. And then you hold it maybe for a minute more. And that's where I think the magic starts to happen. And of course, the more advanced positions is maybe adding a back bend while in lunge. My personal favorite, the couch stretch, which I can demonstrate as well. I'll have to figure out, well, maybe I could bring you in closer and do it on the wall. Oh, I could do it here. Cool. Okay. Let's do the other side. Yeah, I'm going to switch just for balance's sake. Push that hip forward, get that crease flat. I also like lifting the same side arm and also leaning side while you extend the hip is a gnarly combination. It feels fantastic. It's as if you're getting deeper into the position. And then you keep that, you keep that, you keep that, and maybe you drop a little lower. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And now for the wall stretch. This is a very narrow wall, but I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see what's happening. I forgot my tripod today. I'm a terrible online instructor. I like to use the block, so I'm going to place it a little away from the wall. Bring my foot up on the wall, knee on the block. There we go. Step other foot forward, and you're trying to get as close to the wall as possible, right? So you see all this space? You want to get as flat as you can. And if your bum's in the way like mine is, you kind of have to slide your heel outside the hip so you can make that connection. And then second part is trying to drop as low as possible. That's going to be like third stage. Second stage, I skipped entirely. My apologies. Third stage is coming into your lunge, opening it up. Oh, too close. Hold on. Let's back it up. Okay. Opening the hip lunge. Coming down and then trying to bend that back knee. This is what happens a lot. You start to rotate. You don't want to lose that connection to the front of your thigh. Keep front of thigh in contact with the floor. Maybe you actively pull heel to butt first, and then you pull heel to butt from there. Or the harder version is to go same side, hand to heel or hand to foot. That right there, that quad psoas connection, from what I've observed, is a missing link for a lot of people training for splits and back bends. That requirement there, because for your heel to come in and to avoid your hamstrings from cramping, because it can happen, you got to keep your hip down. What does that mean? Let me do this side. Okay, I'm going to switch. So if you try to pull your heel to butt, see how sometimes your hip can lift because it's intense? The whole entire point is to keep the hip down while you pull heel to butt, and keep it down in other modifications, right? So if you decide to do the open hip version or what have you, that's going to be an important part of your low spine training, is to get into psoas and quads. Yes, they play a huge role in back bends. And another thing of back bends too, I'm afraid I'm going to have to put you, let's see what we can do here. I think I could put you here. And you can still, yes! You see, we're going to make this work. So went on and on and on about the low spine. But what about the middle back? Well, middle back is tough to target for those who have not trained that part of the spine, but it's cool because we could learn, okay? So one of the ways I love to isolate the middle back from the low spine is to stand in front of the wall, arms up, and try to reach back with the arms and see if you can make contact with the wall. I'm going to move this block here because now, okay, so you could try to touch hands behind. See this curve happening? This is the part of the spine that we're trying to target. but it can feel very tight. It can feel stiff. It can feel like nothing's moving at all. But that's okay. We could figure it out. Okay? So think about as you're reaching back, and I would widen my stance. I wouldn't go narrow here. Eventually you can, but for beginners, start a little, at least your hip joint width apart. As you reach back with the arms, also reach back with the tush, with the hips. You deliberately want to make this middle curve happen by reaching back with the hips and with the shoulders. Because then it turns into like a low back extension, which is fine, but we're not working on that in the moment. We want to primarily target the middle spine, okay? So one way, again, to isolate the little spine is shoulder back, hip back, right? And you could try to find that thoracic and work on the extension, or as I love to do, the stretch on the floor, where you place a block under the middle back and your head, and the hips are down, and that's more of like a therapeutic stretch too. But now we arrived at shoulders and neck. Shoulders and neck, tough. And actually, in addition to the hips being a roadblock, shoulders can be a definite roadblock as well, especially in bridge, because you have to go through immense shoulder flexion, okay? So your arms are here, but if they can't get by your ears while in that bridge position, it could be tough. It could be tough. So what do? Arm on the wall. You could drop down. I like this setup because I could lower my body down into this empty space, right? Of course, I will have to switch sides. Sorry about, I don't want to give you any booty shots, so I'm just going to move over here. So that's one way to do it. The stretch that we all have seen, right, this guy here, that is far more advanced. So I will not be demonstrating that today because I don't believe that falls in the basic category. But one arm at a time, either on the wall. I showed single, you could do double. So both arms and lowering down. Yeah? And make sure you don't just collapse into the low spine. If you want this to be more shoulder concentrated, keep that support, pull the belly button in, and then drop into your armpit. I would also get in some chest stretch here as well, okay? Because that also is going to target your shoulder. That will prove helpful in the back bends, okay? And then other way. Now for your neck, cervical spine. This is the part of our body that is tough because you don't have to sit like this. I just like this setup. Block between the heels. Because in back bends, when you look back, it's not just dunking your head back. You have to feel that support coming up from your pelvis, up through the torso. And it's more so, instead of just thinking head back, you want to think chest up, head back. And that lends a far more comprehensive platform of support. Because the end shape of whatever back bend you're working on, in my opinion, looks more aesthetic if you get that chest wide and the head back versus just like this. I mean, you tell me. What looks prettier? Okay? And that applies to many shapes. That even applies if you find yourself in a lunge here. Because you could work on this in your lunge. That could be beautiful. Please. You don't have to wait until you got like full throttle back bends to look pretty. All right? We could look pretty at any stage. So, if you wanted to work on neck extension even in lunge, Instead of just head back, you want hip, lower spine, middle, chest, and then head. And also, when returning from that, it feels a lot better when that extension starts from the bottom up. Okay? Same thing if you were doing like a pigeon stretch that people also like to incorporate back bends, right? This or chest and then neck. And even if you can't go all the way back, maybe you just look up. But try to get that arc. You want to get the arc. Because that's going to condition you to know and get used to just that is almost like an unfurling. Right? Like you want to make that swan neck, the swan neck shape with your body. And if you're not used to that, get that neck strong. You know how you get your neck strong? You lie down on a weight bench with your head off the edge and you do your neck extension exercises. You could put like a 5-pound plate on your forehead. I'm serious. Make sure it doesn't fall. Go down and up. You flip, so now you're prone. Plate back of head, down and up. On your side. And your other side. Right? So, right, you don't want to have a jacked neck. So, it's not like you're building your neck muscles for a bodybuilding competition. Although you could. But if you go through neck issues, if you have neck injury history, it's probably an indication you got to get your neck strong. And how do you get strong? How do you get any body part strong? Even the small muscles. You got to load them. But that doesn't mean you're going to load the neck the same way you load the glutes. So you have to choose accordingly. You got to be smart about it. It's probably not going to make much sense. You do a 1 rep max for your neck extension. So you stay like in like a 10 to 20 rep range, right? That makes sense. But this is just a suggestion. Do you have to do this? No. But even if you're not into back bends, even if you're not into advanced flexibility, why not get the neck strong just for daily activity? But if you do want to work on your back bends and you want to give your muscle the assurance that even though you're stretching it, it's not going to tear. Yeah, it's probably a good idea for your nervous system to what's the word I want to use? To detect that it's safe for your neck to experience this range of motion because the muscles are strong. So that's personally what I would do. But just that alone, just learning how to extend your neck chest up versus just dunking your head back, I think is far more useful for you to grab from. So I wanted to, I know it's 1:30, but I signed in late, so I wanted to reserve some time in case you guys had any questions about what we covered today. Yeah? Let me know. Back bends, and someone had asked how long and how many times you train a week. You could do up to 3 times a week, but it really all depends on the intensity of your training, what you're doing, because technically you can stretch every day, but if you do the more advanced positions, Yeah, they are super hard. I stopped doing my neck exercises. I need to get back on it. You know, and they have that contraption, Sarah, that I don't know if you see it. It's almost like a head cage with something attached, and you do like the uh the neck extensions that way too. But going on a weight bench is it's just a little, I get, well, if you have access to a gym, just so that you don't have to buy something else entirely to do to do weighted neck exercises. But there are neck contraptions out there for sure. Like there, I've seen ones that have chains. That if you want to get crazy with the neck exercises, I mean, full on plates on the chains, and guys are doing like this. It is insane, but you know, you want to get jacked, you got to get jacked the way that's the jacked people has been jacking for years. Jacked necks. I mean, kind of a good idea since it is holding up your brain and skull, right? And when you think about it, when the head goes down, it becomes heavier. So, conditioning your neck to just withstand higher forces, probably a good idea. Oh, my hair is frizzing up already. What are you going to do? Thus is the nature of this type of hair. Do we have any questions, family, about what we went over today? And my apologies for not grabbing the announcements. So, probably we have a challenge starting on Monday. We have a challenge. I don't know what challenge it is, though. Hello, Carmen. We went over Backbend Basics. So, for anyone like Carmen who's just joining, welcome. This will be on our main feed, so you can see from the beginning and then take it from there if you wanted to watch what we covered today. But Backbend Basics, going over low spine, middle spine, shoulders, neck, and hips, the whole gamut. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know I have to get back into my backbend. Back. I have to return to backbend training cuz I have like new muscles on my spine that I never had before. I don't know if you could see this, but it's like I have like this new column because of my multifidus and erector spinae muscles have they grew. They grew. So my objective is to get like the deepest well that I can down my spine. Mm. You can find it on the our main Stretch It app feed, and we are here every Saturday 1 p.m. Eastern. So even if you can't make it, we will have the replay on our feed. But you know, like anything, like I was able to grow my spine muscles, but because of that, because I have new tissue, I now have to train them to express the same, you're welcome, Carmen, the same range of motion that I was capable of years ago, right? So I can't expect them to just like know that. So I have to, I gotta get them in there, gotta get them in the extension. Thank you. I've been working on it, so I'm happy with how it's turning out. Thank you. Thank you all for joining. This was a lot of fun today. I'm so grateful for you all carving out time to tune into our lives, ask questions, engage. We truly appreciate it. I apologize for not having the announcements ready. Oh, wonderful. I'll make sure to visit you, Carmen. I have a friend that lives, I have actually a lot of friends that live in Houston. So if I ever get down there again, I'll make sure to find you. But until then, everybody, please take care. It's always a pleasure. I hope to see you next week. And of course, I'll do my part and make sure I review the announcements and such, as well as the live topic. But thank you so much always. I will see you all soon. And until then, please take care. Bye.